Okay, so welcome back. As you can see, the operating system finished installing. And because the operating system has finished installing, we can now go ahead and continue to reboot the actual virtual machine. So now let's do exactly that. As you can see, congratulations, your CentOS installation is complete. Let's close this. Now another thing that we definitely need to do is reboot the machine, reboot the system, that is. So here on the Systems tab, we're gonna shut down the machine. We're gonna restart it, and that should be rather quick. Let's do a restart. Okay, let's see. All right, excellent. This should take no more than probably a minute or two. Okay. All right, so here we go. We're gonna do the restart. Now once we see this restart, we need to remember to eject the DVD. If we do not eject the DVD, unfortunately the system is going to do a complete reinstallation, because it will assume logically that you want to reinstall the operating system. All right. Okay, so here we go. Now the DVD got ejected, or was ejected, and as you can see, now we're going through the final phases of our installation. Okay, excellent. All right. CentOS 6.5, as we can see the version. We're going to do a kernel update to see if we can get that into a 6.6. I'll show you how to do that, because there are certain procedures that we should actually follow before we start working with our lab settings or our lab virtual machines. So I will be doing that through a Yum repository. The cool thing, the one thing that I absolutely love about CentOS is that the Yum repository, any updates that need to be downloaded, they're 100% free. You do not have to pay for them. If you are using Red Hat Linux, in comparison, you will have to pay for licensing. One of the disadvantages of having CentOS installed, not only do you get, and I mean, one of the good things that you do get the access to the repository for free, but there is no technical support. If there's any bugs and fixes, you really don't get that. Versus having a Red Hat Linux license, you can just call the technical support and you can get immediate response. I mean, I absolutely love Red Hat Linux. I know those guys. I know how those guys work, and I know how dependable their products are. As a matter of fact, CentOS is a derivative or a spin-off of Red Hat Linux. So basically, CentOS is financed and developed by the people at Red Hat Linux, but this version is unsupported, and it is made free for developers or people that want to play with it. But in a real production environment, you definitely want to have the protection by having a service contract or service agreement. All right, so now we're back again. As we can see, the system automatically rebooted. We're going into the final stages, or step number 2, toward accepting the licensing and the kernels and creating the user. So now let's continue to press. We're going to press forward. Here is going to give us the licensing agreement, where it clearly states that you accept the licensing agreements, and you're going to, of course, you're going to apply yes and agree to the license agreement. Click forward. And now here we're going to create a user. And that user, again, we're going to utilize a student, the word student. We're going to use the full name. Well, we really don't need to have a full name. We just put student as the password. So this way we don't forget it. In the real world, I hope you will not use the student password, but you'll use something that's a little bit more intricate and hard to guess. Now here, as you can see, we also have, if you need more control when creating a user, specifying home directory and our user ID, please click the advanced button. You can click the advanced button, but for myself, I usually don't do, I don't create my users here. Once I have access to the GUI interface, then I go and I create my users, because sometimes from my own experience, even though I created users here, when I logged in after everything, I said my password and I had administrative rights, I logged in, those users did not appear. So I figured, you know what, I might as well just do a complete installation, and once that's done, then I would be able to just create my users. So now let's continue with the forward tab. The chosen password is weak. This is a second warning that we receive. It's okay. Again, it's a test machine. It's more for learning than anything else. It's a non-production server regardless. All right, so let's, here we're gonna see on the next tab, we're gonna see the date and the time. It's very important that we actually check this box off, because this actually takes us to the network time protocol servers out at the CentOS pool ntp.org. And once we check that off, there's really nothing else that we need to do here, unless you have a NTP server internal to your organization. Then you would actually you can actually add it. But for now, this is suffice. We don't need to become very intricate. Or make this too difficult. And speed up initial synchronization. We want to make sure that that is checked off. Now, once we have done that, we've checked there. Now we can go ahead and forward. And here, as you can see, it's already checking the NTP. It's going to create the next page. Will show a kdump file, which is 128 standard. We can keep it at 128, or we can give it more, but 128 is what we're going to keep it. So if the system should crash for whatever reason, this file will be created, which you can take that file, and as you can see here, configures where to put the kdump process MV core files. The good thing is that once these files are created, we could take this output and send it to the people over at Red Hat, if it is Red Hat, because remember, CentOS is not a supported application or a certain supported operating system, but at least we're able to send it to the people at Red Hat, and they can diagnose, especially if we have a service level contract. All right, once we're done there, now we're going to click on the Finish tab. Finish. Changing the kdump setting requires the system to reallocate memory. All right, let's do a reboot. Okay, and we're going to commit to that reboot. As you can see, the reboot actually is a lot faster versus having to do a reboot when we're doing the initial installation of the operating system. You see how much faster the system is actually working now? This is really exciting stuff. When I started playing with the CentOS, I fell in love with this product. Okay. Okay, so as we can see, we're almost done. Here we go. All right, so now as you can see, now we are able to log in either as a student, or we can just cancel and log in as root. For all intents and purposes of our lab training, I'm going to log in as root. Because if I log in as a student, I will have to SU to become root. So I might as well just log in as root right now. And the reason I'm going to use root is to show you how easy it is to log into the system, and we're going to get the system ready for the next lab session, which will I'll go deeper into the details of the configurations, into what those user tabs are. So now let's go back again to the student as the password. So again, there's a lot to be learned and a lot to cover, but I'm sure we'll try to make this as painless as possible. Now, once we've logged in as root, you will see that you're currently trying to run as root super user. I mean, this is a very good warning heeded, because any changes that you make here, any modifications, deletions, will adversely affect your ability to have CentOS function properly. So please remember, sometimes you can check it off. I prefer to leave it as a warning reminder that anything that I do while I'm here is very critical and it will impact the performance of the system. So I will close this tab. Now, let's go directly. There are two ways that we can actually, the next thing that I like to do, especially when you're installing or creating any type of a system, whether it's virtual or physical, is to get the kernel up to the latest revision or the latest version. What I do for my end to make my job easier is that I go through the open terminal. Once I'm in the open terminal, as you can see by default, I'm already have the pound making me the kernel, and this tells me that I am in kernel mode. So what I do is that I type in yum update kernel. Here we go. So now we know that by typing the yum update kernel, what this is going to do is that it's going to download the latest kernel. Then I can do the yum update, and that will also download any modifications that I need to do on this particular system, bringing it and making it current. The reason that I want to make it current is, more importantly, for security reasons, to ensure that the drivers that I have installed in this system are updated, and more importantly, to make sure that the kernel, the latest kernel, is running. Now, here it's telling me once I let's make this a little bit bigger. Once we've connected to the yum repository, what it's telling us now, it has a total of 48 megabyte file that needs to be downloaded. Is this okay? I generally will type yes. Okay. So now, as you can see here, we're looking at kernel 2.6.32. 573 is the latest revision. This is where the 573 is the latest release, and this is where I want to be able to utilize the latest kernel. Now, what is saying here? Oh yes, right. He's gonna check the retrieving the key. This is to security to make sure that this kernel is being authenticated from the source where it's coming from, which is the yum repository. I do trust this server where I'm taking the keys, I mean the kernel from, downloading it from. So therefore, to me, it's a trusted host. So I will indicate that yes. Now, another thing that I want to do is show you how to check the latest version of the kernel. Let's see. R, run level 5. Okay, so now I'm gonna run the uname -r version to see what is my latest kernel version that is presently installed. Because once I reboot the system, the new kernel is going to take precedence, which means the system is going to install into the latest kernel, and the older kernel will be more as a backup. So now let's take a quick look and see. So now, as you can see here, we have 431 versus having downloaded, as we can see here. Where are we at? Let me see. Ah, here it is. Sorry. It's 573. So we know that this is the latest kernel version. So we're going to 573 from 431. So now, another thing that we definitely want to do is we're going to do a yum update. We want to update the yum repository database local to our system. Now, that does not mean we have to install everything, but at least we want to have that updated. Another thing that's very important, CentOS is very user-friendly. It's become very user-friendly. You don't need to know a lot of commands. It makes making our jobs as administrator a lot easier. You can also get this right here. As you can see, there's a star here, an orange-looking star, which tells you there is an update that are readily available that you can download and use. There's 14 updates. I believe these are the critical updates. Software updates, correct error, eliminate security vulnerabilities, and provide new features. Now, the only way you're going to be able to download these updates is after this is 841 megabytes is done. I'd rather say no, because I'd rather just as easily install this guy down here. Now, we need to wait for it to do internally the refresh. Oh boy, not sure why it moved. All right, so here we do install. Here we click install updates, resolving dependencies. Okay, wonderful. All right, it's almost done. It's a very straightforward process, actually. Or if you want to do the same, here it is. All selected updates installed. Now, once this is done, what I like to do is I type the reboot. Once I do the reboot, this will allow any changes to be propagated throughout the entire system. Also, again, remember that the kernel will be updated. The newer kernel will be will actually take precedence over the older kernel. Okay, as we can see, we have 573 as the kernel, which was loaded, versus the 471, I believe. Okay, so now we're going to do a reboot again. All right. Excellent. It appears that we are done doing the reboot. Again, we're going to log in as root, as student, and password student. All right, so let's log in as root, so I don't have to SU. Student. All right, let's close this. Here we go. And now, for the sake of getting this system ready for virtualization training, one thing that I like to do is I can go through a Yum repository through a command line and download everything I need. Or another way that I can do this is by using the GUI, which is the Add Remove Software Manager. Now, of course, the Add Remove Software Manager is going to let me know that I'm a privileged user. Again, that's a warning to be very careful as to what it is that I'm going to be downloading. One thing that I like to do now is to download the Virtualization Manager in preparation for our next course, which is creating virtual machines, installing other operating systems within the CentOS, whether it be Linux or whether it be Windows or VMware for that matter. But at least I want to have this lab setting in place, so this way next time we get together in the next module, it'll make it easier for you to just power them up and start creating these virtual machines. So now let's do this. Once you have the Add Remove software open, just type virt-manager, virt manager. by clicking the virtual Vert Manager, we should get an output. As you can see down at the bottom right, I mean at the bottom left, sorry, you'll see the querying where it's actually looking for the actual application in the Yum repository. All right, so we can do it two ways. We can do it through the command, or we could do it through a GUI. If you do decide to take the actual certification for Red Hat doesn't really care whether you use a GUI or command line. If you feel more comfortable using the GUI for the sake of just basically not having to type so many a long command string, just then go ahead and use the GUI. The only thing that Red Hat fundamentally cares about more than anything else is that you complete the assigned task satisfactorily. Until then, this is fine. So now that we have the virtualization manager, we're going to apply it. It will download the virtualization manager application and its dependencies. Here as you can see, we can see there are several dependencies that must be downloaded also in order for this application to function correctly. So we're going to install them. And as you can see again at the bottom left, it downloading the packages. It's really quick. This should take no more than probably 2 or 3 minutes at most. Another application that I would like to download for future training will be the LVM. We can use the GUI, the add remove software GUI while we're doing this. And so you know what? While we're at it, let's do that. Let's download the LVM application, and this way when we start creating logical volume managers through the GUI or command line, you will actually see how whether you do a GUI or command line, you're going to get the same end results. For the purpose of one day taking a certification, you can use either or. All right, so now we can see it's cleaning up packages. Older packages are being removed. There's no longer a need for them. Absolutely love this. I mean, this is really cool. Makes my job so much easier. All right, so while we're here, now we know that it is installed completely without any issues. Let's do LVM while we're here. Anyway, let's look for LVM. Here we go. So now we have LVM up and running. Now what we're going to do is, of all of these different applications that we're seeing, we could go click at the bottom, the utility for graphically configuring logical volume managers, no architecture. We're going to click and we're going to apply it. Downloading the packages, testing changes, installing the packages. Here we go, we're done. Now, the best way to actually manage LVM is you have to go to the Systems tab, Administrator, and here it is, the Logical Volume Manager. We're going to talk about this a little more in detail later on. And this is how you can actually create your Logical Volume Managers. This is the actual drive. We're going to cover this in a future topic, but for now, let's focus on the virtualization manager. So now, while we're here, let's go to let's go to the virtualization manager. Here, oh, that's not it. Not very easy to work on a small window. I'm sure it's installed. Can't really see much here. Let's see if we can make this a little bit bigger. All right. Here we go, Virtualization Manager, Virtual Machine Manager. Now, what you're going to see is that there are additional packages that need to be installed. All we have to do is click yes. The Vert library. All right, as we saw even here, we need to install additional packages. Just go ahead and press install. Okay, let's close this. Now, as you can see, there will be a window which will open out indicating that libvirt service must be started. You can also you can type this exact command string right here, which is su to see service libvirt restart, or you can just right click and paste it and just press enter. Now, as you can see, the first here, it tells you that the daemon had failed, and second, he started. The reason he failed is simply because he was not started. So what I do is I press the up key and I do it twice. And we can see that while he was already started, it restarted again. And now that we have that daemon restarted, I just close these windows. Now let's go to Application, System Tools, and Virtual Machine Manager. And it is started. So now, seeing here that we have this particular icon, which shows a I guess that would be a monitor. Once you click on it, then now we have access to we should be able to create additional virtual machines. Now we can import them. We could do a Pixie boot from the network. We could, if we have a HTTP or FTP or NFS server, we can actually download the iOS, or we could do a local media install. We're going to do this in a future segment of our training, but for now, we know that the virtualization machine manager is already installed. So we can just close it, and that should be all that we need to do. This is all that we actually need to do for now. Later on, we're going to go into a complete details as to exactly what some of these links are and what they mean, where your folders are, and also what the administrative interface means, add, remove. I mean, we're going to go into complete detail, authentication, crash dumps. We're going to do the services, the software updates, the user groups. But for now, I think we're pretty much ready for the next training module, and I hope to see you soon. I hope you learned something. If anything, please feel free to send me an email. But for now, I hope to see you guys very soon for the next module. Thank you for joining me. I'll speak to you soon. Bye-bye.